A. Possession of 4 limbs. B. Possession of claws. C. Development of a long tail. D. Counter shading of coat color. Looking at the 4 options, you see that possession of 4 limbs is part of the adaptive feature for the arboreal life. That is life on the tree. The animal has to have 4 limbs that is be able to use to climb. Then it has to possess claws. Then it has to develop long tail, which is be used in moving around the tree. And the last one, counter shading of coat color. If you look at it in the order of importance, you see that counter shading of coat color is the least important, and that gives us option D. The next question: which of the following is one of Lamarck's theory? A. Some variations are more favorable to existence in a given environment than others. B. All living organisms are constantly involved in a struggle for existence. C. The size of a given population remains fairly constant. D. New species originate through the inheritance of acquired traits. The answer is D. New species originate through the inheritance of acquired traits. Like I explained in giraffe the other time, that over the years, as the need arose for them to stretch their necks to eat leaves on trees, the neck became long. So that was what Lamarck was trying to explain. So new species, looking at the giraffe we have nowadays and those that were in existence thousands of years ago, according to Lamarck, it says that the neck are just different and it's still the same giraffe, but because of the use of the neck, of the stretching of the neck, it is giving their offspring now very, very long neck. So the answer is D. New species originate through the inheritance of acquired traits. The next question: the loud cry made by a brooding hen when a predator is around is meant to do what? A. Alert the poultry attendant. B. Attract cocks to come and fight the predator. C. Advertise the boundaries to its territory to intruders. D. Warn its chicks and other chickens of impending danger. Looking at it, option A says alert poultry attendant. What about local chickens that don't have poultry attendant, that they are just free range? They are just roaming about on their own. So that cancels out option A. B. Attract cocks to come and fight the predator. What if the cock cannot do the predator? That is not the reason for that. If it's a fox that is the predator, then a cock cannot attack that. Or if it's a snake, then the other option says advertise the boundary of its territory to intruders. That will not stop an intruder from coming in. But the only thing that the loud cry made by a brooding hen does is to warn its chicks to hide themselves under the mother hen and other chicken of impending danger, so that every one of them will run for their lives or try to hide themselves. That is what the loud cry of a brooding hen does. The next question: the most important environmental factor which epiphytes in the rainforest compete for is A. Water. B. Nutrients. C. Light. D. Space. Looking at the 4 options, they are necessities. But which one is the most important environmental factor? Which one is the most important? And we are talking about epiphytes. Epiphytes live on trees, so they are arboreal. So what is their need? What is the most important environmental factor they need? Is it water? Water is available. In the tropical rainforest, you find water. Water is not a problem. B. Nutrients. There is nutrients also available. There is light, there is space. What do they compete for? They compete for space. You know, if you have observed epiphytes very well, sometimes they have noticed that the leaves of the plants, they are horn. You might not even notice those leaves because they will have strangled those leaves. There is only the leaves of the epiphyte that you'll be seeing. You wonder, is it the main tree or the epiphyte that is showing? That's just the way they are. So the most important environmental factor for epiphyte is space. They are competing for space, where they will stay, so it's space. The answer is option D. The next question: Which of the following is one of Lamarck's theory? A. Some variations are more favorable to existence in a given environment than others. B. All living organisms are constantly involved in a struggle for existence. C. The size of a given population remains fairly constant. D. New species originate through the inheritance of acquired traits. The answer is D. New species originate through the inheritance of acquired traits. The next question. The older fossil-bearing rocks, in contrast to the more recent ones, are more likely to contain what? A. Animals rather than plants remains. B. Invertebrates rather than birds. C. Flowering plants rather than mosses. D. Reptiles rather than fishes. A is the answer. They are likely to contain animals rather than plants. The next question. In a group of male agama lizards, the one with the brightest head color is what? A. The dominant. B. The youngest. C. The oldest. D. The largest. The answer is A. The dominant. It's the one that dominates the environment. It's the one that the females will be attracted to more. So it is the dominant. The next question. The mutation theory of organic evolution was propounded by who? A. Gregor Mendel. B. Hugo Veris. C. Jane Lama. D. Charles Darwin. Talked about genetics, was brought about pink flowers and all that. That was what Gregor did. He didn't do something about organic mutation theory. Then Jane Lama was the one that talked about the theory of use and disuse, where he talked about the example of the giraffe. When there is a part of the organism that is being used, it will be more pronounced in the next generation, and when one is not used, it will not be pronounced. Then Charles Darwin talked about the origin of species. So our answer is Hugo Veris. Hugo Veris is the answer. It was one that propounded the mutation theory of organic evolution. The next question. A certain savanna grasshopper changes color from green during the rainy season to brown during the dry season bushfires. The reason for these color changes is that A. Grasshopper is getting older. B. Environment temperature is changing. C. Grasshopper is avoiding predation. D. Grasshopper is frequently molting. You know, one thing about this scenario is that in the rainy season, everywhere will be green. So the grasshopper we manifest green color. But when it is the dry season, the leaves start going dry and brown. So it also changes to that color. That tells us that the environment temperature is changing. That is option B. Then complex social behavior and organization are found mostly in A. Insects, B. Birds, C. Reptiles, D. Mammals. The complex social behavior and organization, they are found mostly in mammals. Option D. The next question. Darwin is considered the first scientist who correctly explained the theory of A. Special creation, B. Spontaneous generation, C. Use and disuse, D. Organic evolution. Organic evolution is the answer. Darwin was the first scientist that correctly explained the theory of organic evolution. The next question. The stem of a typical aquatic plant usually has many A. Air cavity, B. Intercellular spaces, C. Water cavities, D. Water conducting cells. The stem of a typical aquatic plant usually has many air cavities. Option A. The next question. The role of the male adult honeybee is to do what? A. Clean the hive, B. Ventilate the hive, C. Mate with the queen, D. Care for the young. The male adult honeybee mates with the queen. That's its role. The next question. The ability of an organism to live successfully in an environment is known as what? Resistance, competition, succession, adaptation. Adaptation is the ability of an organism to live successfully in an environment. That is what is called adaptation. Option D. The most important adaptation of xerophytes is the ability of the protoplasm to do what? Resist being damaged by loss of water. B. Store sugar and minerals in the vacuums. C. Absorb water and swell. D. Shrink from the cell wall. Xerophytes are plants that live in areas where there is little water, as in very, very low amount of water, e.g. deserts. So they have very little water available to them. So what is the most important adaptation of this kind of plant? It is the ability of their protoplasm to resist being damaged by loss of water. The next question. A green snake in green grass is able to escape notice from predators because of its what? Its destructive coloration, its counter shading, its warning coloration, its cryptic coloration. The green snake in a green grass is counter shading. You know, green color grass, that's the background, and the snake is also having green color. You won't even notice it on time. That is option B, counter shading. The next question. For heterotrophic organisms, competition is least caused by the inadequacy of what? Least caused by what? A. Mates. B. Space. C. Light. D. Nutrients. Competition is least caused by inadequacy of what in an heterotrophic organism? You know, heterotrophic organisms are those organisms that feed on autotrophs. They don't manufacture food on their own, so they feed on plants and other green. They feed